smoke covered the broken sky above Arcanis. The air was full of fire and metal dust. The ground shook every few seconds as alien guns tore through what was left of the human base. Commander Ethan Cole moved fast through a corridor half buried in ash. His left arm was wrapped in scorched bandage. He didn't feel the pain anymore. He only felt the weight of what was gone. Every step echoed like the end of something. "Cole, east wall's falling," said Sergeant Dale through the comm. "They're inside the gate." "Hold the line," Ethan said. His voice was dry, calm. "Make them earn it." He reached the command room. The lights flickered weakly. The last humans on Arcanis were here. 9 soldiers, 2 wounded, 1 barely breathing. A broken holotable showed red marks moving closer. The aliens were all around them. No help was coming. The orbital link had gone dead hours ago. Ethan stared at the static screen until a final message appeared. A voice, cold and official. "This is command. All Earth settlements lost. Evacuation failed. If you can hear this, humanity has fallen." The room went silent. No one moved. A low hum filled the air as another explosion hit outside. The floor trembled. Private Mason dropped his weapon. "That's it then," he said. "We're done." Ethan turned toward him. His face was covered in soot and blood. "No," he said. "We make them remember us. That's how we end." They had little left. 2 working rifles, a handful of grenades, and a few old shock mines. Ethan ordered them to plant the mines in the outer trench. Then he took his rifle and went to the east wall. Outside, the red dust storm mixed with fire. The alien forces moved like shadows, tall, armored creatures with scaled skin and heavy blades. Their roars echoed through the burning valley. Ethan saw them advance. He waited until they crossed the old wire line. Then he hit the switch. The mines exploded. The blast tore the ground apart. Flames rolled through the valley, throwing alien bodies into the air. His men shouted as they fired from the walls, cutting down anything still moving. For a short moment, they pushed the aliens back. Then came the sound that made everyone freeze, a deep, heavy growl from the fog. The Tarkal commander stepped forward, twice the height of a man, its armor black and shining in the light of fire. It carried a long blade that hummed like an engine. Ethan reloaded, steady and slow. The alien walked toward him through the smoke. "You fight well," it said through a translator, "but this world is done. Kneel, and your death will be clean." Ethan's men watched, silent. The alien raised its weapon, waiting for him to bow. Ethan lowered his rifle. He looked calm, almost tired. Then his lips moved slightly. "You'll have to earn that, too." He stepped forward, a small object hidden in his hand. The alien's eyes narrowed. Dale shouted from behind him, "Commander, no!" The alien moved to strike. Ethan opened his hand. The pin from a grenade hit the ground. A white flash filled the night. The blast threw metal and fire into the sky. Everything vanished in the light. When the smoke cleared, the wall was gone. The alien commander stood wounded but alive, staring at the crater where Ethan had been. Then, from inside the dust and flame, a faint sound came. The scrape of boots on metal. Someone was still moving. The blast from the grenade left the camp in ruins. Fire ate through steel and sand. The air was thick with smoke and blood. Ethan Cole lay half buried under a slab of metal. His ears rang. His chest burned. For a few seconds he did not know if he was alive. Then he felt the pain. That was enough. He pushed the metal off his body and dragged himself out. Around him, the outpost was gone. The walls were torn apart. Bodies, human and alien, lay everywhere. The storm had turned the ground into mud streaked with ash. He tried to stand. A shadow fell over him. The alien commander Varrock stood there, armor cracked, one arm bleeding green. The creature still looked powerful, almost proud. "You live," Varrock said. "That is good. I want you to see what defeat looks like." Ethan raised his rifle, but the alien kicked it away. A blade pressed against his neck. He could smell the strange oil burning on the alien's armor. Varrock looked down at him. "You will kneel now, human." Ethan spat blood and said nothing. The alien's eyes narrowed. Then the world went black. He woke inside a dark metal cell. The walls were smooth and cold. The sound of engines rumbled under his feet. Alien voices echoed outside, sharp and guttural. His hands were bound with energy cuffs that stung when he moved. He was on their ship. A small door opened. A Tarkal guard entered and pulled him up. They dragged him through long corridors lit by red lights. He passed rows of alien warriors. Their eyes followed him like hunters watching prey. They brought him into a large chamber where Varrock waited on a raised platform. Around him stood more officers. The alien commander looked calm now, his armor repaired, his blade resting beside him. Varrock spoke. "You are the last one left from that base. Your species is gone. Earth burns. Your colonies are dust. You have no reason to fight." Ethan said, "You're wrong." Varrock tilted his head. "Why fight when there is no victory?" "Because we don't kneel," Ethan said. His voice was rough but steady. The alien laughed, a deep rumble that filled the room. "You think this is courage. It is noise before silence." He stood. "We will show your death to the fleet. Every soldier will watch you fall. They will learn how weak your kind truly is." Two guards grabbed Ethan and pulled him toward the exit. His wrists bled against the cuffs. His mind raced. Every detail around him mattered. The layout of the ship, the number of guards, the hum of engines under the deck. He needed a chance. Just one. They brought him to an open hangar bay. Rows of alien troops waited, their weapons raised. Above them, cameras hovered, recording everything. Varrock stepped beside him and lifted the blade. "Kneel, and it ends clean." Ethan looked at the crowd. Thousands of eyes stared at him. He felt small, broken, almost nothing. But inside, there was still one spark. He lowered his head as if ready to kneel. The guards relaxed for half a second. Then he moved. Fast. He slammed his forehead into one guard's jaw, grabbed the alien's weapon, and fired at the cuffs. The metal burst open. The hangar filled with light and noise. He shot the other guard, then spun and fired at the control panels. The bay alarms screamed. The air shook. Ethan ran toward a small fighter docked near the edge. Bullets tore through the air behind him. He jumped into the cockpit and hit the launch pad. The fighter roared to life and shot out into space. The stars spun around him. His hands shook on the controls. He looked back once and saw the alien ship burning behind him. Then a voice crackled on the comm. A human voice, weak but clear. "This is Outpost 12. Anyone alive, respond." Ethan froze. Someone else was still out there. The signal was weak and full of static. Ethan stared at the screen, unsure if his mind was playing tricks on him. The words repeated again, cracked by noise. "This is Outpost 12. Anyone alive, respond." He forced his hands steady and answered. "This is Commander Ethan Cole. Identify yourself." There was silence, then a low cough. "Roy Mercer, Captain, last of the Horizon Fleet." Ethan froze. The Horizon Fleet was destroyed years ago. Or that was what everyone believed. "Where are you?" he asked. "Graveyard Field, Sector 9B, the voice said. "We're not all dead. Hurry." The signal cut out. Ethan checked the navigation charts. The graveyard field was a wasteland of broken ships and debris left from the last human stand. Going there was suicide, but he had no choice. He turned the small fighter toward the coordinates. The stars stretched as the engines fired. Hours later, the ship dropped out of warp into silence. The graveyard field was massive. Wrecked ships floated in darkness. Human destroyers split in half. Alien cruisers turned to rusted skeletons. The sight hit him hard. This was the end of everything humans had built. He moved through the debris carefully, using low power to avoid detection. The radar picked up a faint beacon near a large cruiser wreck marked HFS Valiant. He guided the fighter in and landed inside a cracked hangar bay. The bay was dark except for one flickering light. Dust floated in the air. He stepped out with his rifle ready. His boots echoed on metal. Every sound seemed too loud. A voice came from the shadows. "You took your time." Ethan spun, gun raised. A man limped into view, older, gray in the beard, wearing an old human naval uniform. His chest plate was cracked and one arm was wrapped in a torn strap, but his eyes were alive. "Captain Mercer," Ethan said. "Commander Cole, I heard your name once. You held Arcanis." Mercer gave a small nod. "Didn't think anyone survived that." Ethan lowered the weapon. "Barely. What happened here?" Mercer looked around the dead ship. "The fleet fought to the last man. We hit their capital ships, but they kept coming. When it ended, I put myself in a cryopod. Woke up when the system rebooted 2 days ago." He limped to a console and hit a few keys. The screen showed a map of the galaxy with red zones marked everywhere. "But we still have something. Project Iron Wake. You ever hear of it?" Ethan shook his head. Mercer's eyes narrowed. "It's not a weapon. It's a command pulse, built to turn their war tech against them. It needs a manual code from a command officer to activate, and it's buried deep inside Vraxen, their fortress world." Ethan leaned closer. "You're saying we can use their own fleet to destroy them?" Mercer nodded. "If we can get there." They moved through the ship together, gathering what they could. Food packs, spare rifles, data cores. Every corridor was full of burned panels and silence. The ship felt like a tomb. They found an old engine room that still had power. Mercer looked at the wrecked metal walls and then at Ethan. "We can rebuild something from this. Patch the drive, use the hull plating from the cruisers outside. It won't be pretty, but it'll fly." Ethan gave a thin smile. "That's enough." For the next hours they worked in the cold light of the wreck. Sparks flew as they cut and welded, the sound of tools mixed with the hum of dying power cells. 2 men alone in the dark, building a ship from pieces of death. When they were done, a small warship stood in the center of the bay. It looked rough, uneven, and deadly. Mercer touched the hull. "We'll call it the Harrow." Ethan nodded. "Then let's make them remember us." As the engines came alive, a radar alert flashed. Multiple red signals appeared on the screen. Alien ships closing fast. Mercer looked up. "They found us." Ethan gripped the controls. "Then we'll start early." The Harrow's engines roared to life, shaking the bay around them. Sparks burst from loose wires. Alarms screamed as the first alien ships entered visual range. Ethan Cole sat in the pilot seat while Captain Mercer strapped into the gun chair. Outside, flashes of red light cut across the dark wreck field. "They're locking on," Mercer said. His hands moved fast over the controls. 5, maybe 6 ships, more coming. "Then we move," Ethan said. He hit the thrusters. The Harrow lifted from the deck, scraping metal as it pulled clear of the bay. The old cruiser broke apart behind them as alien fire hit the wreck. The Harrow shot through the debris field. Fragments of old ships spun past the cockpit. The radar beeped constantly, warning of incoming missiles. Ethan's eyes stayed fixed on the path ahead. His jaw was tight. Sweat ran down his neck. "Left flank," Mercer shouted. "They're trying to box us in." Ethan rolled the ship hard, sending them between 2 broken hulls. A missile followed, clipping a chunk of armor off the Harrow's wing. The ship jolted, but kept flying. "Armor's holding," Mercer said. "Barely." "Good enough?" Ethan flipped a switch and dropped flare charges. The missiles chasing them exploded behind the ship. The glare lit the wreck field in orange fire. The Harrow twisted through the storm of debris and came out into open space. The alien ships followed, black and sharp against the stars. Their engines glowed blue. Laser fire streaked across the void. Mercer aimed the rear cannons and fired. The recoil shook the ship. One alien fighter exploded into dust. Another clipped a chunk of hull from the Harrow in return. Ethan gritted his teeth. We can't fight all of them out here. Then we go where they can't see, Mercer said. Ethan looked at the navigation map. A cluster of asteroids sat ahead, close and dense. Hold on. He dove into the field. The ship scraped rock and ice as they sped through narrow gaps. The alien ships followed, firing blindly. Rocks shattered around them. Every second felt like it could be the last. Power's dropping, Mercer warned. Left engines overheating. Cut power on 3, Ethan said. 1, 2, 3. The engines died. The ship went dark. They drifted in silence, hidden in the shadow of a giant asteroid. Only the sound of breathing filled the cockpit. The alien ships swept by, scanning. Their lights moved across the rocks but missed the Harrow. After a minute, the radar cleared. They were gone. Mercer leaned back. That was close. Ethan stared at the stars. Too close. They stayed in silence for a moment. The smell of burned wires filled the air. Mercer opened a small panel and checked the damage. We'll need to fix the coolant lines before we burn out, but she still flies. Ethan nodded. Then we go to Vraxen. Mercer looked at him. You sure? That planet's crawling with them. That's where Project Iron Wake is. We finish this or die trying. Mercer gave a tired smile. You sound like every good soldier I ever buried. Ethan looked at him. I plan to be harder to bury. They worked for hours, patching the engines and reloading the guns. Outside, the asteroid field turned slowly, lit by the glow of distant explosions. When the systems came back online, Ethan powered up the ship again. The engines hummed low and steady. Course set, Mercer said. Vraxen's a death trap. Then it's the right place. Ethan pushed the throttle. The Harrow jumped forward into warp. The stars stretched around them, bright and endless. The cabin lights flickered once, then the radar blinked red again. Mercer frowned. That can't be right. What is it? Ethan asked. Mercer looked at the screen. They're already waiting for us. Vraxen filled the screen like a burning storm. The planet was covered in clouds of fire and lightning. Massive alien towers pierced through the storms, glowing red. It looked alive, like the whole world was breathing hate. The Harrow came out of warp in the middle of a trap. Alien ships surrounded them in every direction. Dozens of them. Ethan Cole gripped the controls, pushing the ship into a dive. The hull screamed as plasma fire tore past them. Mercer worked the guns, firing back with everything the ship had. We can't fight this many, he shouted. Then we don't, Ethan said. We go through. He aimed straight at the largest ship blocking their path and fired the Harrow's forward cannons. The blast ripped through the enemy hull, opening a hole in its side. Ethan drove the Harrow straight through the flames. Inside the gap, the ship shook hard. Metal tore from the wings. Mercer was thrown against the seat. We lost shields, he yelled. Doesn't matter, Ethan said. We're close. The Harrow came out the other side of the burning wreck and dropped into the storm clouds of Vraxen. Lightning split the sky. Winds slammed against the hull. The planet below glowed like molten metal. Ethan guided the ship toward a dark mountain range. The radar showed a massive energy reading deep below. That's the base, Mercer said. Project Iron Wake. The ship hit the ground hard, sliding across the black surface before stopping near a massive alien structure built into the rock. Towers of steel rose above them. Alien guards moved along the walls. Let's move, Ethan said. He grabbed a rifle and opened the hatch. The air outside burned his throat. The storm howled above. They ran toward the entrance. Alarms blared. Gunfire followed them. Ethan fired back, dropping 2 guards before they reached the gate. Mercer hacked the control panel and forced it open. Inside, the base was full of smoke and red light. The sound of engines echoed through the corridors. They pushed deeper inside, moving through rooms filled with alien tech. Screens showed maps of human worlds marked as dead zones. Mercer stopped for a moment, staring at them. We really lost it all. Ethan looked at him. Not yet. They reached the control core. A massive sphere pulsed in the center, covered in alien cables. Energy crackled around it. The console beside it showed human code hidden under alien systems. Mercer's eyes widened. It's still here. He started typing commands. If we trigger it now, every Tarkal ship in range turns on itself. Ethan kept watch at the door. How long? 2 minutes. The sound of heavy steps filled the corridor. Then the door exploded open. Var-Rock entered, armor glowing red. His blade hummed as he stepped forward. You again, he said. You should have knelt. Ethan raised his rifle and fired, but the shots bounced off the armor. Var-Rock swung, knocking the weapon away. The blade cut through Ethan's shoulder. He fell back, pain ripping through him. Var-Rock pointed the blade at his throat. Kneel, human, end it with honor. Ethan spat blood and stared up at him. We don't kneel. He pulled a plasma knife from his belt and drove it into the alien's chest. Var-Rock roared and swung again, cutting deep into Ethan's side. Mercer shouted, It's ready! Ethan, bleeding and shaking, slammed his hand down on the console. The core lit up with blinding white light. Energy surged through the walls. Outside, in the storm above, alien ships turned their guns on each other. Explosions filled the sky. Var-Rock staggered, trying to speak, but his armor cracked apart. Ethan pushed himself up, barely standing. Told you, he said. We end our way. The core overloaded. The room filled with light. The base shook like the planet itself was breaking. As everything collapsed, Mercer grabbed Ethan's arm. We did it, he said. Ethan gave a weak smile. Make sure they know we never bowed. The floor gave way. Fire and light swallowed them. High above, the alien fleet burned in the storm. And through the static of dying signals, a single message spread across the void. Human signal confirmed. Resistance active.